I almost died in the hospital and my wife didn't care. I'm not your babysitter, handle it yourself, she said. I just nodded and stayed silent. The moment I got discharged, I packed my bags and left. She laughed, thinking she won. 2 years later, she was blowing up my phone begging for another chance. I remember the exact moment I realized my marriage was over. It wasn't during an argument or after discovering some hidden betrayal. It was at 2:47 a.m. in a hospital room, watching my wife scroll through TikTok while I struggled to breathe. But let me back up a bit. 3 weeks ago I started feeling off. Nothing major at first, just tired, a bit achy, the kind of thing you'd brush off as working too hard or sleeping wrong. Harper, my wife of 6 years, told me I was being dramatic when I mentioned maybe seeing a doctor. You always get like this when you're stressed about work, she said, barely looking up from her phone. I tried to push through it. That's what you do, right? But then the fever started. Not the kind that makes you want to curl up with soup and Netflix, the kind that makes your joints feel like they're filled with broken glass. The kind that has you waking up at 3 a.m., sheets soaked, wondering if this is what dying feels like. Harper's response? Take some Tylenol and stop waking me up. The night everything changed, I woke up and couldn't move my right side properly. The room was spinning and my heart was racing so fast I could feel it in my teeth. I called out to Harper, my voice barely working. She groaned, rolled over, and said the words that would echo in my head for months to come. I'm not your babysitter. Handle it yourself. I lay there for what felt like hours, but was probably minutes, trying to make my phone cooperate with hands that felt like they belonged to someone else. I finally managed to call my sister Alexandra. She lived 45 minutes away but made it in 20. The next part is fuzzy. I remember Alexandra's face when she saw me, the way she kept her voice calm while telling Harper we were going to the. Harper's response, you're enabling his attention-seeking behavior, but fine, go ahead. There was a blur of activity. Words like septic shock and organ failure floated around me. My temperature was 104.2. My blood pressure was crashing. Something about an infection that had gone systemic. I remember the doctor's face when I told him how long I'd been feeling sick, the way he glanced at Harper who was sitting in the corner scrolling through Instagram. They admitted me immediately. Alexandra stayed until they made her leave, promising to come back first thing in the morning. Harper looked annoyed when the nurse suggested she stay with me overnight. I have an early meeting tomorrow, she said. He's in good hands here. The next few days were a haze of antibiotics, tests, and fever dreams. Alexandra came every day after work, bringing my laptop, clothes, and actually talking to my doctors. Harper visited twice. The first time she stayed for 15 minutes and complained about having to pay for parking. The second time she brought me a cold coffee and spent 30 minutes telling me about drama at her friend's party that I'd missed. But the moment that broke me, it wasn't the complaint about parking or the cold coffee. It was when I asked her to help me get some water. The infection had hit me hard. I could barely lift the cup without spilling it. Her response, I'm not your babysitter. Handle it yourself. The same words from that night, said with the same annoyed eye roll. I just nodded and stayed silent. The nurse who came in later found me trying to reach the water cup with shaking hands. She helped me drink, checked my temperature, and adjusted my pillows, all while Harper watched TikTok videos on full volume. That's when I knew. 6 years of marriage, and my wife had less compassion for me than a stranger who was just doing her job. The realization didn't hit me like a truck or break my heart into a million pieces. It settled into my bones quietly, like the infection that had nearly killed me. I spent 10 days in that hospital. Alexandra brought me books, sat with me through treatments, and helped me start walking again. When I was stronger, my colleagues sent cards and messages. Even the cafeteria worker who brought my meals showed more concern than my wife, always making sure to bring extra Jell-O because she noticed I liked it. Harper visited 2 more times. Once to tell me she had to cancel our upcoming vacation because, obviously you won't be up for it, and once to complain about how she had to handle everything at home by herself. She never once asked the doctors about my condition or what care I'd need after discharge. The day I was released, Harper didn't come to pick me up. She texted that she was swamped and asked if Alexandra could handle it. Alexandra did, just like she'd handled everything else. As we drove home, my sister kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror, clearly wanting to say something but holding back. I spent that entire drive planning my exit. They say near-death experiences change you, make you reevaluate your life. Mine showed me the truth about my marriage in HD clarity. Every dismissive comment, every eye roll, every "you're being dramatic" moment played back in my mind like a greatest hits album of red flags I'd ignored. I didn't say anything to Harper that night or the next day. I just watched her continue her life as if nothing had happened, as if her husband hadn't almost died from an infection while she scrolled through social media. She laughed at her phone, made plans with friends, and complained about her day. Business as usual. I started making my own plans too. Quiet ones. The kind that would change everything. But that's another story. Looking at her now, watching her chat animatedly on the phone about weekend plans while I struggle to open a water bottle with my still shaky hands, I realize she has no idea what's coming. She probably thinks she won. That she put me in my place, showed me not to bother her with my neediness. She's about to learn otherwise. Update. First, thank you all for the overwhelming support on my last post. I didn't expect it to blow up like that. Reading your comments helped me feel less crazy about my decision, especially during these past 2 weeks. Yes, 2 weeks. That's how long it took me to leave after getting discharged. Some of you might think that's too fast. Others said I should have left immediately. The truth is I needed those 2 weeks to make sure I did this right. The day after I got home from the hospital, Harper actually made breakfast. Not for me. She made herself avocado toast and filmed it for her Instagram. I sat at our kitchen counter, still weak and shaky, watching her adjust the lighting for her photo. She glanced at me and said, "You should eat something. There's bread in the freezer." That's when I texted Alexandra, "I need your help getting out." The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in quiet planning. Alexandra connected me with her friend who had an available apartment. Nothing fancy, but it had an elevator, important since I was still recovering, and accepted month-to-month leases. While Harper was at work, Alexandra helped me slowly move essential items. Just enough that Harper wouldn't notice, but enough that I wouldn't have to come back for basics. The hardest part wasn't the physical moving. It was maintaining normalcy at home. Harper barely noticed anything different. She was too busy planning a girls' trip for next month. "You'll be fine by yourself, right?" she asked, not looking up from her laptop. "I mean, you managed in the hospital." I just nodded and added, "cancel joint credit card," to my mental checklist. The moments that stuck with me weren't the big things. It was finding my hospital discharge papers crumpled in the trash when I needed them for insurance. It was Harper sighing dramatically when I asked if she could pick up my prescription. "Can't you just get it delivered? I'm not your nurse." It was her telling her friends on the phone that I was milking it when I had to rest after trying to do laundry. Alexandra was my lifeline through all of this. She helped me set up automatic payments for my new place, picked up supplies I'd need, and even stocked my fridge. When I tried to thank her, she just hugged me and said, "I should have seen it sooner. I'm sorry." The day I left, I waited until Harper went to work. I had already moved most of my essential things, so this was just the final step. I left my keys on the counter along with a letter explaining that I was done. No drama, no accusation, just facts. I also left paperwork from my hospital stay showing just how close I'd come to dying. Maybe she'd read it. Maybe she wouldn't. I turned off my location sharing, blocked her on social media, and changed my phone number. By noon, Alexandra helped me finish setting up my new apartment, and by evening I was sitting on my new couch eating takeout. When the texts started coming through Alexandra's phone, first one from Harper, "Very funny. He'll be back in a week when he realizes he can't handle being alone. Then, tell him he's being ridiculous. He can't just leave because I didn't babysit him enough at the hospital." And finally, "He's going to regret this little tantrum. I've already told everyone how unstable he's been since his near-death experience." Alexandra showed me the messages but didn't push me to respond. Instead, she helped me make a list of things I still needed for the apartment. We were comparing shower curtains online when Harper's email came through, "You're embarrassing both of us. Everyone knows you're just doing this for attention like you always do. Remember when you needed to go to the ER at 3 a.m.? Come home and we can forget this ever happened. I'll even let you pick the Netflix show tonight. I didn't respond. Instead, I went to my first therapy session the next day. My therapist listened to my story and said something that hit hard. You know the difference between being lonely and being alone? Lonely is what you felt in that hospital room with your wife there. Alone is what you are now, and you're already doing better. It's been 2 weeks since I left. My new place is small but peaceful. The elderly couple next door brought me homemade soup when they learned I was recovering from illness. That simple act of kindness from strangers made me cry more than leaving my marriage did. Recovery is slower than I'd like, but I'm getting stronger every day. I can make it through basic tasks without getting winded now. My appetite is coming back. I even managed to cook a real meal yesterday, just pasta, but it felt like a victory. The most surprising thing? The relief. I expected to feel scared or sad or angry. Instead, I feel like I can finally breathe. No more walking on eggshells. No more bracing for dismissive comments. No more feeling like my existence is an inconvenience. Harper's attempts to contact me have gotten more aggressive. She's called my sister multiple times, cycling between tears and threats. She's told our friends I'm having a mental breakdown. She even posted a vague Instagram story about supporting your spouse through mental health struggles. But here's the thing. Every manipulative message, every attempt to paint me as unstable, every dismissive comment about my hospital stay just confirms I made the right choice. The woman I married, the one I thought would be by my side through sickness and health, showed me exactly who she was when I was at my weakest. I have a consultation with a lawyer next week. Alexandra helped me gather all my medical records and documentation. I've saved the messages where Harper admits to ignoring my symptoms and refusing to help during my medical emergency. I don't want a lengthy legal battle. I just want out. This morning I got a text from an unknown number. You'll be back. You always come back when you need something. Who else would put up with your dramatics? I blocked the number and made myself breakfast. My hands don't shake anymore when I hold the coffee cup. It's strange how much can change in a year. Last week I was at the grocery store reaching for some coffee when I heard a familiar laugh. That laugh used to make me tense up, prepare excuses, brace for criticism. This time I just grabbed my coffee and walked away. Harper never even saw me. A lot of you have been messaging me for updates, especially after my ex-wife's recent social media meltdown. Yes, I saw the post. No, I haven't responded to any of it. But I think it's time for an update, if only because the whole situation has taken an unexpected turn. The divorce was finalized 6 months ago. Harper didn't contest it. She was too busy maintaining her image of the supportive wife dealing with an unstable husband. The day we signed the papers, she posted a long Instagram caption about loving someone through their demons, with a black and white selfie of her looking pensively out a window. I let her keep that narrative. It was easier than fighting it. And honestly, those who needed to know the truth already did. My recovery took longer than expected. The sepsis left some lasting effects: fatigue, joint pain, occasional brain fog. But here's the thing about not having someone constantly telling you you're being dramatic. You actually listen to your body. I started physical therapy, joined a support group for sepsis survivors, and slowly rebuilt my strength. That's where I met Naomi. She was leaving the building as I was walking in, dropped her water bottle, and we both reached to pick it up. Turned out she was there for grief counseling. Her husband had passed away from an aggressive infection 2 years ago. We started getting coffee after our sessions, just talking about recovery, life, the weird things people say to you when you face death. I wasn't looking for anything romantic. Neither was she. Maybe that's why it felt so easy to talk to her. She understood the frustration of having an invisible illness, the way people expect you to just get over it. We became friends first, sharing articles about post-sepsis syndrome and recommending books about healing. Meanwhile, Harper's perfect life started showing cracks. Her friends began reaching out to me one by one. Turns out my mental breakdown story didn't quite match up with the medical records Alexandra had kept, or the texts Harper had sent, or the hospital security footage of her scrolling through TikTok while I was in critical condition. Last month she lost her closest friend group after they discovered she'd been lying about helping care for me post-hospital. The final straw, She'd told them she'd taken time off work to nurse me back to health, when in reality she'd been on a spa weekend with her new boyfriend. The boyfriend didn't last long after he found her old messages to me, you know, the ones calling me dramatic for only having a 104-degree fever. He reached out to me actually, asking if everything in those texts was true. I directed him to my medical records and wished him luck. That's when the calls started. First from her mom, then her sister, then Harper herself. I changed my number months ago, so they all went to Alexandra. Their tune had changed from "he's unstable" to "he needs to talk to Harper, she's really struggling." Alexandra's response: "So was Owen when he was dying in the hospital." Harper didn't care then. Last week I got promoted at work. My new role is less physically demanding but more rewarding. My team brought in cupcakes to celebrate. Naomi surprised me with dinner at my favorite restaurant. It wasn't a date, or at least it didn't start as one. But sitting across from her, watching her laugh about her failed attempt at making soup the day before, something shifted. Yesterday Harper showed up at my office. She'd lost weight, her usual perfect makeup slightly smudged. Security stopped her in the lobby, but I saw her through the glass doors. She was holding what looked like old photos of us. Classic Harper, always ready with props for her performance. I took the back exit and texted my therapist, "It's okay to feel nothing." She wrote back, "That's often healthier than feeling too much." She was right. A year ago seeing Harper might have shaken me. Now I was more concerned about being late for coffee with Naomi. The support group meeting today was different. Naomi and I shared a look when another survivor talked about their spouse not believing their symptoms. After the meeting she touched my hand and said, "Want to get dinner instead of coffee?" Said yes. Just as we were leaving, my phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. "Harper again, somehow got my new contact. I know you're trying to punish me, but this has gone on long enough. I've changed. I'm different now. Just meet me for coffee, please." Naomi saw the message over my shoulder. She didn't pull away or get weird. Instead she squeezed my hand and said, "Sometimes people don't change. They just get better at their performance." I blocked the number and we went to dinner. For the first time in forever I talked about things that had nothing to do with illness or recovery or betrayal. We talked about books and travel and our weird shared love of documentary films. She snorted when she laughed too hard at one of my jokes, then looked mortified. I thought it was adorable. As I'm writing this, I can see more messages coming in from Harper's friends, family, new numbers I don't recognize. They're all saying the same thing. She's sorry, she's changed, she needs to talk to me. But I'm done with that chapter. My phone just buzzed again. But this time it's Naomi sending me a link to a documentary she thinks I'll like. I think I'm ready for the next chapter to begin. Final update. I wasn't planning on writing another update, but after what happened at yesterday's charity gala, I owe you all the real story of how everything finally ended. And yes, it ended, just not in the way Harper expected. 2 years after I walked away from my marriage, I found myself standing in a ballroom watching my ex-wife's carefully crafted world collapse in real time. The best part? I didn't have to do anything except tell the truth. Let me back up a bit. Last month Naomi and I got engaged. Nothing flashy. We were making dinner at home. She was telling me about her latest documentary project and it just felt right. No Instagram announcement, no professional photo shoot, just us and our happiness. We only told close family and friends. Somehow Harper found out. The messages started again. "You can't be serious. She's just a rebound. We need to talk before you make a huge mistake." I kept blocking numbers, but she kept finding ways to reach out. Then came the charity gala. It's an annual event that raises money for sepsis awareness and survivor support. Naomi and I helped organize it through our support group. Harper shouldn't have known about it, but she did. She showed up looking like she'd stepped out of a magazine cover, wearing the perfect remorseful ex-wife costume, all sad smiles and wet eyes. The kind of performance that used to make me doubt myself. I was at the podium about to share my survival story when I saw her in the audience. She was already dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, ready to play the part of the supportive ex who stood by me through my illness. That's when I decided, enough. I told my story. The full story. About waking up unable to move. About begging for help and being told to handle it myself. About lying in a hospital bed, organs failing, while my wife scrolled through TikTok. About the security cameras that captured her behavior. About the text messages. About her telling people I was having a mental breakdown when I finally left. The room was silent. Harper's tissue dabbing stopped. Her perfectly crafted image was shattering and everyone was watching. Then I played the audio recordings. Yes, I had them. Every dismissive comment, every cruel response when I asked for help. Alexandra had suggested I record our interactions after I got home from the hospital, just in case, she'd said. She was right. Harper tried to leave, but her new friends, the ones she told about nursing me back to health, blocked her path. They wanted answers. I continued my speech, sharing screenshots of her social media posts claiming she'd taken care of me, alongside hospital security footage timestamps showing she'd visited twice in 10 days. Her Instagram stories about supporting your spouse through illness next to her actual text messages calling me dramatic for only having a 104-degree fever. But the most important part of survival, I said, looking directly at her, is recognizing what tried to kill you. Sometimes it's not just the infection. Sometimes it's the person who was supposed to love you choosing to watch you suffer. Harper stood up, mascara running. You're twisting everything. I was there. I helped you. That's when Naomi stepped forward. She had compiled interviews with hospital staff, timestamps of Harper's social media posts during my critical care stays, and statements from mutual friends about Harper's behavior. All meticulously documented. All legally obtained. All devastating to Harper's carefully constructed narrative. No, I said calmly, you weren't there. But everyone here now knows exactly where you were and what you were doing while I was fighting for my life. The whispers started. Phones came out. Harper's reputation, the one she'd spent 2 years crafting, crumbled in minutes. She tried one last time. Oh, please. We can talk about this privately. Like how you wanted to talk when I was dying. Or when you were telling everyone I was mentally unstable. Or when you tried to sabotage my relationship with Naomi. Her new boyfriend, the one she'd been bragging about on Instagram, stood up and walked out. Her friends turned away. The charity board members who'd welcomed her earlier now avoided eye contact. I finished my speech by announcing a new program for survivors whose partners abandoned them during critical illness. We're calling it the Handle It Yourself Foundation, a little dark humor that survivors will understand. Harper ran out crying. Her carefully curated social media accounts went dark an hour later. This morning I woke up to hundreds of messages from other survivors sharing similar stories. Some are offering to testify about their own experiences. Others want to contribute to the foundation. Harper's attempts to silence me had the opposite effect. She amplified every voice she tried to shut down. Naomi squeezed my hand as we read through the messages. You know what's better than revenge? She asked. Truth. She's right. I didn't have to scheme or plot. I just had to wait until Harper created enough lies that the truth itself became a weapon. The foundation launches next month. We're already partnering with hospitals to provide support for patients whose partners abandoned them during critical illness. Every pamphlet will include the warning signs I missed. Every support group will validate experiences Harper tried to dismiss. My near-death experience almost killed me. Harper's abandonment almost broke me. But in the end they gave me something unexpected. A purpose, a partner who understands, and the perfect platform to ensure no one else goes through this alone. Harper wanted a performance. She got one, just not the one she expected. I'm marrying Naomi next spring. No social media announcements needed. The truth, it turns out, speaks for itself.